Hi everyone, here are the Go Formative questions for May 4th to May 8th. Number 1. A student shaded a fraction model to show the product of this expression, 2/8 times 3. Which of the following fraction models shows the product of the expression? This week you reviewed 2 ways to solve this problem or a problem like this. The first way you can solve this is by using repeated addition. So you can show 3 groups of 2/8. So I wrote that down here. Remember, when you have your sum, the denominator will always stay the same when you're adding fractions. The second way that you reviewed how to solve this is by using an area model. So you would break the model into 8 equal parts, because 8 is the denominator here, and then you would shade in 2/8 3 times. So here it would be 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and then you would count up how many are shaded out of 8. The last step is to match it to one of these fraction models. We know the denominator is going to be 8, so you have to find a model that's already broken up into 8 pieces. Then for your numerator, it's whatever you got here, or just however many are shaded. Number 2, Andy is painting a sign for his store. The sign is 2.5 feet high and 1 1/4 feet wide as shown. What is the area of Andy's sign? We know when we're finding area, we're finding the length times the width. So 1 1/4 times 2 1/2. And this problem should look very familiar to you because you actually solved it in the Google Slides earlier this week. You should have used an area model like this. So I wrote it out for you, 2 1/2, and then 1 1/4 down the side. In each of the smaller boxes, you're just multiplying. When you find your answers to your multiplication problems, you just have to add them all up to get the area. Number 3, a baker can decorate 1 cake in 2/3 of an hour. What is the total sum of hours the baker needs to decorate 4 1/2 cakes? So for this one, I know it's a multiplication problem. And again, this should look very familiar to you because you solved this problem earlier in the week. So we have 4 1/2 times 2/3. If you need a review, you can look back to your work from earlier in the week, or I just wrote out the area model here for you. I have 4 1/2 on the top and 2/3 on the side. We just have to multiply 4 times 2/3, 2/3 times 1/2, and then you have to add up your products. Remember, when you're adding fractions, that you need to have a common denominator. Once you add them, you can find your answer. Number 4, Mr. Shapiro divides 3 cups of raisins into equal servings of 1/4 cup each. Part A, which equation can be used to determine R, the number of 1/4 cup servings Mr. Shapiro makes? Earlier in the week, you reviewed how to do this by watching a video. Here we started with 6 apples and divided them into equal servings of 1/2. And here is the equation to show that 6 divided by 1/2 equals 12. For your problem, remember you're starting with 3 cups and you're dividing them into equal servings of 1/4 cup each. So just think about what your equation would look like to match that. Part B, Mr. Shapiro divides 1 of the 1/4 cup servings of raisins into 2 smaller servings of equal size. What is the total number of raisins in cups in each smaller serving? This week you reviewed this concept by watching a video. Here you started with 1/2 jug of water and you wanted to divide it up into 4. So we started with 1/2, divided it into 4, and then we got 1/8 because each part is 1 out of 8 total. For yours, you're starting with 1/4 and you're dividing it in half into 2 smaller servings. So you have to figure out this part here, describe it as it relates to the whole box of raisins. So it's 1 out of how many total? Next one. Points J, K, and L are located on a coordinate plane as shown. A student will add point M on the grid so that points J, K, L, and M are the vertices of a rectangle. What will be the coordinates of point M? So you just have to plot point M, so it's the other side of a rectangle, the other corner. And then to figure out what the coordinates are, remember on the Really Good Stuff document you reviewed this week, you start by going over to the door for the first number and then up to the floor for the second number. Next one, coordinates on this plane. The coordinate plane shows the location of City Hall. Which ordered pair represents the location on the coordinate plane of City Hall? So same thing, the first number is going over to the door, the second one is going up to the floor. Last one, Raoul plotted point A, point B, point C, and point D on a grid as shown. Which of Paul's points is best represented by the ordered pair 3, 0? So for the 3, you go over to the door. For the 0, you go up to the floor.